welcome to the Get Up and Scale podcast. Kai Kaapro and Justin Buzzi, and of course, Brett Ridenour. Today, we're here with Mike Petrakis. He is the founder and CEO of Batch App. If you hadn't heard of this app, it is the greatest place to find group activities. Started off as just a Bachelorette app. Now they pivoted into building a platform that hosts all sorts of groups event, no matter what city you're going to. We're really excited to have Mike on the podcast. I've known him now for a couple years. He's got an inspiring story. He's in the same space as us, but on the OTA side. And we're excited to have you on the podcast. Thanks for joining us, Mike.
I gotta work, grind. That's just the way it is. I gotta get up, scale, and grow my biz. I gotta scale, grow, get up, go, scale, grow, get up, go.
Thanks for having me, guys. Great to be here.
Yeah, so this is our first cold interview where like both myself and Justin don't personally know the guest. So I thought it'd be cool to introduce you guys live on the show here. So Mike, why don't you tell us a little bit about the Batch App? I gave you a general overview of what it does, but what is the Batch App?
Yeah, it's funny to hear you refer us as an OTA. So
I'm sorry. That's probably
that makes me feel like I'm a bad guy. Yeah. So
are you not an OTA, Mike?
I mean, it's interesting. Look, it's cool to think that it's similar to kayak or something that I grew up with. But I think look, so I built the Batch App about 5 years ago. The idea was to build an app that made it really easy to plan a party with your friends. So invite your friends, chat with them, figure out what you want to do, put an itinerary together, and split up expenses. So we built this app. We rolled it out in 2020. It's called BACH because we like the Bachelorette space and the Bachelor space because it's like mandatory parties. Everybody goes on them. They go to the same places. They do the same things. So we're like, this makes a lot of sense to start as your first niche category. And anyway, so we started as the Batch App and kind of caught fire in 2020, right before COVID, and then started building out a marketplace soon thereafter. And then ultimately that marketplace became how I met Kai and a lot of other really cool people. That is kind of like the focus of our business, which is an experiences platform for people to just book fun with friends. So party buses, party boats, brunches, dinners, hibachi chefs have came out of nowhere over the past 12 months. So we can speak to all the party trends out there. We can spend as much time as you want talking about all the crazy stuff that people do on our app.
Oh, I'm sure. Jeez. Do you have a roundabout number of like how many different experiences that you guys have?
Probably about 4,000 at this point.
Okay. Yeah, that's a lot. From hibachi dinners to party bikes and party buses. Is there any other like really random ones that you found that are kind of interesting to you?
I mean, those are the top ones. There's
I'm sure there's a lot of like smaller ones that are kind of like very niche, for what they do.
I'd say there's always ones that surprise you, like penis waffles has become like a big business on Batch. Yeah, so yeah, so
like
you can
how is it delivered? Like,
I mean, as a penis waffle, I don't understand your question.
I mean, what's the experience? Like, they're just like, here's a penis waffle and hand it to you?
They put it in their mouth.
You can essentially set up a date and time to book penis waffles on our app where they will deliver it pretty much to your party on the spot. So
got it. So it's penis waffle delivery specific.
Yeah.
Amazing.
We have grocery delivery, we have party services, champagne, like decoration setup, but so all of those have done well, and those can start from, nothing, right? Like anybody can start that business, but like some of them have been really successful on our app, and it's really cool to see.
That's so
I
cool.
saw you said you guys host about 50,000 events per month currently on the app.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
And I saw Times Square advertisement.
Yeah.
Crazy.
No, it's funny. Anybody could get that. So it sounds...
But you got to pay for it, right?
No. So it was actually free, and they didn't even let us know. So it's just because we spend money with, you have Ramp and Brex as your charge businesses. And I think they both have billboards, and they like try to like compete with each other. So it's just literally a free offering that they give up to their clients.
I was going to say, it's like, does your investors think that's the best use of your money to buy a Times Square?
Right.
So I got to spend enough money with Ramp,
Yeah.
and you get high enough card spend, right? And they guarantee you probably like 10 seconds.
Yes.
Times Square.
We had a whole day. Yeah.
Damn.
Wow.
That's great.
That's actually pretty cool. Yeah.
How much do you spend with them?
Yeah, right.
Yeah, I hope that's not why, but
That's so cool. So how did you get started before this? Like, what's your background going into creating the Batch app? Like, where did the idea come from? Like, what transitioned into creating the Batch app?
So I've never had a real job. So since I graduated college, I've only just like bootstrap businesses. So I started in 2013. I was the first hire at a company called Boast. It was a tennis brand that we bought the IP to and relaunched from the 70s. So if you've ever seen a collared shirt with what looks like a weed leaf, it's actually Japanese maple. But it was a really iconic brand from the 70s that we brought back to life. And we put it was funny. It was like we put it in all these country clubs throughout the country, but also like it really hit with urban streetwear brands too. So it was a really fun business to build for a couple years. Ultimately that one had its ups and downs, and I wanted to just like own something and build something from zero, like by myself with the co-founder the next time. So I started a company called Wolico. That's a performance activewear company based in New York. We launched that on Kickstarter and built that up. Still running like successful business today, still bootstrapped, which was really cool. Especially when everybody was like, all e-com brands were like taking money to like dump into Facebook ads and stuff. So I'm proud of that one. I then became an investor in a gym and a couple other projects. Ultimately, I think my like MO is scrappy, like building stuff from zero. And I think when I was in my late 20s, I was feeling more aggressive and wanted to build like a venture-backed business and like really like shoot my shot with building something big. Mm-hmm. And I studied up on group travel. And ultimately, as I said with Batch, it was really just thinking about it from an investor POV of like, all right, people go to these things every year. It's mandatory if you get invited, right? You're going to feel the worst if you don't go. And you're going to go to like Nashville, Miami, Austin, like relatively predictable set of cities. And so I felt like the coolest part would have been if you could make an app where you pay to acquire one user, they would bring in their friends to the app for free. So there's like a cool virality aspect about the business that we built. So between those things, it was really interesting to test out. And, as I said, we launched in 2020 and got our first 100,000 users within like 3 months.
That's crazy. That's a lot of users. If you think about cool. How many people that is, like in terms of like in one place at a time, like in a stadium, right? Like that's like 2 big NFL stadiums next to each other. That's crazy.
Yeah.
So that was it? Was it just... Did like an industry report kind of trigger this idea, or did the idea come first and then you tried to validate it? Like, did you know someone who went to a bachelorette party and was kind of like, that's what I want to do, or was this just purely from research?
I went on a trip to Montreal that could have had more planning behind it. So
you were your own customer, essentially.
What was his name?
Like, guys, we could have planned this. We could have tried harder. Come on. Yeah.
I think we've all had that experience. We've all had that experience, like a poorly planned bachelor party, where they can't pick a date and you show up, there's no food, no one did a Costco run. I've been there.
I mean, you're spending so much money and time is precious, and then especially after COVID or through COVID, you're like, all right, I just want to party with my friends and do fun stuff. Right. Yeah. So I think that was the basis for this to exist in the world, to just like make it easy to get together and celebrate with friends.
So what were the early days like? How did you get that many users in that short of amount of time? Like, what did you guys do that you think really worked for your business in order to, get that many users that quickly?
To me, it still feels like early days.
Yeah,
So
sure.
this is in 2020. I built a wait list that ultimately had like 50,000 people on it. So, and we like let them in and studied the cohorts as they came in, like how they would interact with our app. So as I said,
How did you reach them? Yeah, how did you reach that? Like, how did people know to even get on the wait list?
I honestly like put in a little bit of my own money into Facebook ads, and then we
You
like
just started.
did a little bit of it. Throughout this time, we started doing like friends and family money into Batch, and we were just like testing Facebook ads because again, that was like the glory days of CPC and
Yeah.
CPMs, like right around that period. So yeah, you would get like the total of, say it was like 8,000 leads, and then they would invite their friends, and then it kind of snowballed.
Nice.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
so
really
far
cool.
on the show, like we've mainly interviewed, tour operators. We've interviewed like a conference business. Like we had Bruce with Arrival on. You're the first like purely software business we've had on.
Cool.
What do you think there? I think so, right? Have we had anyone else, Justin, that's purely software? Oh, we had WaveRes, right? Like a booking platform.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What do you think? I'm curious. Like, no one we've talked to before has done like traditional fundraising. Like most of the businesses we talk to, and in our tour space, it's mostly bootstrapped, right, or loan finance.
Mhm.
What are the unique challenges of growing a business this way? I'm curious because none of us have done that. Justin and I have never financed before. What's it like?
Yeah.
I've done both, so
Yeah.
you know. Um, I mean, where to start? I think, look, if you raise venture capital, you should know what you signed up for, and I think there's an expectation for greatness as fast as possible. So that's the reason why you look to secure money is to expedite the normal timeline that it would take to build the business. So the expectations that come along with it just like don't really make sense, but that's like the way that all of this is structured, right? So like you are there's certain frameworks to raise subsequent financing, like you have to hit 2 to 3x growth for every single year, and like you have to be managing your cash and your burn and place the right bets. So it's definitely a combination of science and luck. And fortunately, we did sign on some great investors that have backed us, and throughout all the ups and downs. But I think science and luck is what I would say is like the major combination that needs to happen at the right time to build a venture-backed business.
Yeah, I feel like it's one thing to raise money from VC, but then it's another thing to like continue to down that path, I think, right? Because the
Yes.
expectations are so high.
Yeah, and they just get higher. Yeah.
Right.
So
When does it end for you
and
guys? Like what's your guys' goal?
I think that we are full steam ahead on the venture train, right? So I think I have no interest in just like packing up and shipping it tomorrow. This is a really fun business to build, and I think that right now we're kind of in the path to like later stage fundraising territory, and I think that if we can continue to grow the way that we're growing, I think we have like a really like a multi-billion-dollar play on our hands. So I think it would be really cool to spend the next X amount of my years of my life building that.
So you're shooting for the stars.
Yeah. I mean, that's why we signed up for this, right?
Yeah.
Like,
I love it.
I don't blame you. Are you guys overseas currently, or is all of the business here in the States, or how does that look for you guys?
we're opening Cabo later this week, I think, which is our first international destination.
Cool. When you guys go to a new market like that, like, how do you get experiences onto the app? Like, are you guys actively looking for those things and reaching out? Are they looking for you guys? Like, how does that work now that you're, it's kind of the B2B side of business for you guys? Like, how do you acquire more, experiences to get on there?
Kai, how do we find you?
Word of mouth.
Well, and they had people emailing us and calling us pretty consistently for a while. And I
emailing and calling us consistently for a while.
Picked up the phone.
Yeah.
I think it's a combo of what you just said, though. Like, it's probably cold outreach combined with like, have you heard about this app from your network and your friends?
I think your cold email put you on our radar. And then we get a lot of those emails, and you know, when you're new in a city and there's not a lot of customers there yet, it's not as appetizing. But now we know once you guys go in, you're serious about it, and users come. So we want to be, you know, on the Batch app before you launch now, but where that wasn't the case a few years ago.
Right.
Yeah.
It was tough to get the early adopters because they're like, why would I use this? What is this? So. We sourced leads originally from itinerary data. So users, when they go on their trip, they record everywhere that they're going. So we could see all the cool stuff that they're doing on their trip. And we would just call up the businesses that, you know, whenever we see like a gator tour in New Orleans, we just like call the business and say, hey, we're sending like 10 parties to you. We think we could send 100. You know, and we're just going to make money when you make money on a commission play. So, you know, similar to how they'd work with other OTAs. So that's how it started.
Yeah. So how did it go from Batch app to Batch app? When did that change?
On October 6th of last year. So last fall, we made a change to welcome all sorts of party types. And this isn't we're still going through this transition to a degree, but you know, last year we had pretty much like 1 in 5 bachelorette parties on the US using our app to plan a trip, which is like pretty awesome. But at the same time, it's like eventually it's time to keep to get everybody, right? If we want to take on $1 billion play. So we had a lot of fun building a rebrand experience and changing our app up a little bit to, you know, appeal to various party types. And in the sense that it's still going on, we're still like we're full steam ahead at signing up birthday party experiences, you know, and bachelor party stuff to our app right now. So like the funniest thing is like, well, bachelors want to shoot, like they want to shoot hogs from helicopters, or they want karaoke, or they want like paintball.
Penis waffles.
Like, or maybe a different form of waffle, right? So it's been a funny transition to sign up all this new supply for these different party types.
Yeah. So do you think that, like, from my perspective on the outside looking in, that adds a whole lot of categories to the site, to the app? Like, do you think that kind of dilutes a little bit of the bachelorette thing? Like, is it harder for them to find those things now, or do you think that the opposite is happening, to where you're just opening their eyes to more experiences, more activities? And, you know, how do you see that kind of playing out?
I think that the travel industry in general is on this whole kick of like becoming ultra personalized, right? So like personalized for like any party preference. Yeah. So for us, it started with this simple stuff like filtering and tagging. So right now, if you go on our website, you could just like filter by bachelor party versus birthday party, and it's just going to show you all the cool stuff with bachelor party, right?
Nice.
So
yeah.
That's the beginning. I mean, where you could take this ultimately is like, how much do you want to spend, right? Or like, and then filter by spend, and then you could filter by like, what kind of vibe are you looking for? So that's what's really interesting to me in terms of like where we could take it is, you know, include like spend, vibe, personal, like additional personal preferences beyond what kind of party you are.
Yeah. And do you guys have like options for the operators to have like premium listings? Like, do they have more exposure if they do certain things? Like, how do you look at the B2B side of all of this?
It's something that we are testing right now, which is like Viator, I think, like put out a study on, you know, you can pay to play. Like if you can, you know, increase commission up to 50% or something like that. So I'd actually be interested to get Kai's perspective, because it's something that we are testing with some of our experiences right now. You know, I think we just want to make sure that we can deliver on the promise, the marketing promise behind it, if we start increasing commission rates.
Yeah. And I know one of the things that you promise to like customers is the customer experience. Like I know that when our bachelorette parties go on the app, they are doing everything within the app. They're never taking to an external website. And even if that means you guys have to do some extra work, I see you guys doing that. And that's like invaluable in this industry. Because even on Viator, you find yourself in the email flow of the, of the operator and stuff like that.
Oh, yeah.
We'll need that testimonial.
Yeah. Hey,
yeah, I mean,
there you go.
That's the problem, I think, with OTAs is just that they can ruin the customer experience for your customers. Ultimately, they're the supplier's customers, right? And but a lot of times there's like such poor customer service on their part is they can like tarnish like your local brand, right? That happens all the time with Viator and Expedia. I will say Batch App has a phenomenal team. I think several of our franchisee markets work with them, and y'all are active and sometimes even pushing us to be better, which is amazing. You know what I mean? It's kind of like let's get you guys on track here. And so yeah, I really appreciate that about your company. You guys all seem to have like a couple cups of coffee in you. Everyone I talk to there, like they're ready to work and ready to solve problems.
I mean, we care, and we're like normal people too. Like it's it's like we just like work hard and we give a shit. So I think that's just like a company culture value that we really care about. But I really appreciate that, and it's been really fun to launch new markets with our top, like a lot of our top vendors, like you guys. So. And it was funny just to listen to Brian about London, because I was like, we should open London. If he didn't tell us he's going to London, we should go to London. Come on.
Yeah,
that's funny.
That's something I appreciate too. Is Mike will like plan new launches like with his top vendors and like let's go on to this market together. Basically, you keep talking about bringing Atlantic City back. I really
still want to create Atlantic City. I am from Philly. I want to make Atlantic City an awesome place. I want to bring everybody there.
Kai, come on now.
I'll try it. Can we bring it back? We got to get Trump back there.
It needs a lot. Yeah, it needs a lot.
There you go.
So it sounds like you've kind of built a really cool culture at your company. I founded a franchise like Kai, and I'm in the process of like expanding my corporate team, trying to build out more of a culture. How did you kind of do that in your business? Or how do you look at that? Like, is it something in the hiring process? Is it training? Like, how do you build a really good culture in your business?
You reject all MBA applications. No, we actually did.
They're not applying to our companies.
No, I think, look, it's funny because we do have MBA people. We have all sorts of people at Batch. We're remote. So, people are all over the country, and it speaks to like, you really have to double down on the culture that you're creating if you're not in front of people every day. Yeah. I would attribute a lot of the success, like what you get with me, I'm transparent. I'm super straightforward. I shoot it straight, right? What you get with Sarah, like she's like the heart or core of the company in a way. So she's the one that, I'll take some credit for making it happen, but I think she's the one that's like ensuring that customer satisfaction on both sides of the marketplace is excellent. She has super high standards, like a high standard of excellence with everybody that we bring on. And she has like a coaching mentality too. So I think I'd attribute a lot of our culture to what she has built, because she will make people better.
Yeah.
And cool. We love, like Madison, for an example, who works with these guys a bunch, is, this was like, she was like 20, she was super young when she started working at Batch. She now runs a team of like 14 people. So it's just like amazing to like coach people that want to learn and grow, and just like enable them to be the best that they can be, Yeah.
And how many total people work there now?
42.
Nice.
A good amount of people. I have two people in my corporate structure right now. So, I'm trying to get there. We'll see.
Love it. Careful what you wish for.
Yeah.
I'm kidding. No, I think again, once you establish the right infrastructure, I feel like we have earned like the ability to have that amount of people, because I think that we are still scaling where if you ask them, the newest people, do you like your job? They would say, hell yeah. So I think that's
great.
Yeah.
What's your, we've been asking everyone this. Do you have a secret weapon in your tech stack?
That's a smooth transition, Kai.
No, I was just
first off, not even the right person to ask, because I also hate like I do not like a lot of B2B services. Like I have like a beef with like SaaS services that are charging so much money on the platform. I think that
I see a lot of whiteboards in your room. You seem old fashioned.
I am. Yeah. I'm also non-technical founder too. Like I was going to speak to our tech stack, but like for simple reasons that it was like native and easy to build an app and web version on, but nothing crazy.
I'll take it. I'm writing down whiteboard.
Yeah.
This is
when you bootstrapped it with your friends and family, you like hired developers to make the app, or at first was it just a website? I'm just curious how it started.
Contractors. I mean,
Nice.
Tons of contracted help. And then again, it's like you have to like earn every step. When you can like justify the means of bringing on full-time people, that was like the next step up that we took in later 2019, 2020. But when this thing was first starting, for the first 12 months, it was like scratched together with contracted support. And Sarah, my partner, by the way, was traveling the world and doing this as a side hustle for like 6 hours a week. And I was like, you're doing this for like 6 hours a week from what I would accomplish in 40 hours. So we need to ramp this up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I actually can relate. My partner's the same way. Hey, we're both in the tour industry. I'm curious, you probably see a lot of these experiences go through. You see a lot of tours on the platform. What do you see the trends for travel and tourism? A lot of people in our industry saw a decrease in demand last year, right? There was this pullback. A lot of people talking about it as sort of like normalization from a post-COVID bump. But there's a lot of operators out there who sunk below the growth curve from 2019 or even below 2019 numbers. I'm curious, seeing 50,000, events per week, right? Having all this data. Do you see any trends in the travel industry? Do you see things improving? Did you guys even notice that on the platform when that happened last year? I'm curious what your insights are.
No, I remember we discussed it a little bit. I think that we had another good year of growth. I mean, so it's interesting because we are like we're still, even though we're growing really fast, we're still a small percentage of like a much larger industry, right? And so we just had the ability to just eat up like slightly more market share year over year. So we don't have as much data on like a more granular level. But what I will say is this year has been great thus far. Like it's been a strong Q1 and we're expecting to have a great year ahead. And I'd say the cities that we were betting on are starting to come to fruition. It's been really exciting to see. And we talked about that at the vendor conference that we did. But like Scottsdale has really just like become a powerhouse in our market.
Yeah, it's kind of wild. Go ahead, Justin.
Yeah, I was just going to say, are you seeing, since you made the change, like, is it still mostly bachelorette trips that are being booked? Like, has a lot of that external party type of stuff started to really take off? Or where are you at in that process of seeing that happen?
I do have trends for you, so remind me to come back to that. But we are 70% Bachelorette still, and then we've grown the other segment from 0 to 30% in about like 6 months. Wow. So it's been great. I think it should be in theory the easiest referral program ever. Of like talk to the other guy that you're getting married to, or use us for a girls trip, but. That's the breakdown of party types. And what I will say about trends this year, coastal cities. We're seeing a lot of progress in Florida markets and Southern California. So we're seeing like exponential growth within like Orlando, Destin, Sarasota, like places that we opened up last year, San Diego, Palm Springs. So I believe there's a little bit of a trend towards like alternative, more wellness driven or like beach driven bachelorette parties. So picnic setups, at home massages, like luxury beach picnics, at home massages. We're seeing a really interesting trend happen in like in the sunny places, I would say. But we're also seeing the traditional markets of Nashville, Scottsdale, Vegas, Miami, Charleston, like do really well too. You know, it's really just as we're growing, we're just seeing people have different preferences.
Yeah. And you guys connect with the different booking softwares, correct?
Yes, that was a large build that was a multi-year process.
Was it?
I'm sure.
To me, like as an operator, I'm like, man, that should be so easy for OTAs, yeah. Right? But there's so many, to Brett's point, like there's so many that reach out to us weekly. Hey, do you want to be on our platform? We're going to help you sell your tours. And then you're like, hey, do you interface with Fair Harbor or Zola or anyone? And they're like, oh no, sorry, we're working on that. And then you never hear back from them. You know,
takes months.
Like, yeah.
Each one takes months.
Yeah. So how did that decision go for you guys to do that? Like what went into that decision to be able to, hey, I'm going to spend months building this API thing out so that we can connect?
I mean, we would never be able to scale the business if we didn't do that. So if you didn't integrate, I mean, we still have a significant, like, you know, a percentage of our marketplace that's not integrated. It's at first it was literally, you know, getting a booking inquiry, calling the vendor, and then going back to the customer and being like, yeah, we can do this, right? Yeah. This is like super early days. We built the original thing on Shopify before we moved it all over, and we would just get like the dinging bell and then be like, that's awesome, but now we have to make some calls.
Yeah.
You know? So each one took months. We're still not done, and we're still like actively migrating vendors over, but that was a significant haul and frankly, you know, a large reason to raise venture capital for this type of business.
Yeah.
Is a lot of the like friction with kind of creating those integrations, like do the booking systems have to like play ball with you and help you during that process? You know what I mean? Like
to a degree,
yes.
Yeah, to a degree, and it depends. And some integration partners are more seasoned than others, so you will get like Fair Harbor was a frictionless experience. Like it took 4 months to build, but they are vets in this space, and you know they were pretty straightforward to work with.
Got it.
And Peak, yeah.
So you would say those booking platforms, are they excited when you approach them and want to integrate, or some more than others? Because I know that they have a pricing model that sometimes gets fuzzy around OTAs.
It's funny. We expected to strike up more of a business partnership with these companies than we actually did. We honestly just have had a purely technical relationship. I mean, Peak would be a good example that's now has a consumer business too. Yeah. And there's clear partnership opportunity there, but we're kind of, you know, we kind of just like we do our thing, they do their thing, and we utilize them from a technical perspective, and I think that's beneficial to them too.
Yeah, because like the res tech companies lose money off the integration bookings to their software, right? Like 'cause they're not getting a commission, they're not getting their customer fees for those,
right?
So the main incentive to do it is just because their clients want them to do that, right? Because they want to be able to have these other third-party platforms.
Exactly. They want to help grow their businesses.
Yeah.
So when it comes to scaling, you know, you've obviously done a really good job of doing that in the last 5-6 years. What are some key points in that process that you think really helped you guys scale, or some moments that were maybe like pivotal pivotal in you guys being able to continue to scale, continue to raise money? Just some golden nuggets here for people that are trying to scale their own businesses.
Sure. So we launched our marketplace in 2021. So that was like the first year that there's like a real business, right? So we've been on the clock since then. So let's start there and get to where we are. So I think one of the most meaningful pieces of advice was like revenue wins at all costs kind of thing. So if nothing else is working, like as long as you can continuously show growth over a meaningful amount of time, then there's going to be a market for you. Said differently, the market, as in the venture market, will reward performance. So if you are beating, in a traditional sense, in a grassroots business, if you are beating the S&P 500, then your investment makes more sense to put money into than the S&P 500, risk profiles aside. Yeah. So I think that really stuck with me since the beginning of what do we need to do to alleviate any like scale issues. And frankly, the biggest unknown since launching our business was, are we going to be able to successfully transition beyond just bachelorette parties? So that was like, and when we would pitch to our seed, our Series A and our investors, we were very upfront about that. We're like, we do not know. And there's a chance that like, this has a hard ceiling on it if we are never able to expand, right? So I think that was a major bet that we were placing, and we've been really happy to see it, come to life over the past 6 months.
Yeah. Do you have like mentors or a specific place you go to get information that's kind of helped you throughout the years? For me, being a first-time franchisor, I always just look to like what Kai's doing or other people in the industry are doing, or where do you go for your inspiration? Like, how did you figure all of this out, especially just going straight from college to, hey, let me try to build my own couple businesses, and see what happens. Like, where do you get your information from?
Now I like to be a part of like various founder or CEO groups. I think those are super helpful. Like, so from a recruiting perspective, if I need SEO work or a new financial firm or whatever it may be, I can just like post in this thread, right? Yeah. And like I'm a big believer in like this version of founder therapy, which is like group coaching, where everybody can share their battle stories, right? Yeah. So I think that's now in a more traditional sense of joining these groups. But I think if you're just getting started, just find anyone else who is just getting started or 1 to 3 steps ahead of you, befriend them and have the realest conversations. Talk to them like you talk to your significant other.
Well, good advice. Thank you.
Open up. Yeah.
What groups are you talking about, like YPO and EO, or are you talking about like online groups?
Yeah, I think Hampton's like a tech CEO group that I joined. Philly is a small venture ecosystem, but it's kind of fun in that way that we all know each other. And then over the years I've met tons of founders and investors. I think pitching in 2020 launching a travel business, I've talked to a lot of investors. Yeah.
And that's the whole interesting side of all of this that I think I'm curious about is, how does that process work like when you're going out to find investors? Like, where do you start, and how do those conversations typically go for you guys? Like any tips there on like where to begin with trying to raise money, and then when you actually get the conversations, how do you really nail those home?
I'd say to raise money, you go to anybody who you think has money, and accelerators. Those are like the 2 starting points, right? Yeah. So anybody, like our initial funding for Batch was like a number of anybody that was like 10 to 30 years older than me that I thought could have like enough money to write an angel investment check. And then accelerator programs, there are great resources out there for startups, right? And I think that I'd actually be interested in like building more of an ecosystem for people that are not looking to build venture-backed businesses like yourselves, because I think that there's like a lack of resources out there that is like teaching people how to like, you know, do SBA loans, you know, and like that kind of finance.
There's a lot of literature about. Oh, good.
As for the pitch itself, again, I'd go back to transparency is key. So I like having like on your first slide of any pitch, it's like, here's why you shouldn't invest. And then it's like, all right, now that we got all that stuff over with, we're going to get to the rest of this.
That's good advice.
So you lead
So
with
do you
that.
think like on my tour website, I should say, here's why you shouldn't tour with us. And then we go into it.
I think transparency is key. Like, it's one example would be in our marketplace. We just started linking to vendors' websites like on their listing page, and it's like a lot of OTAs don't do that because they want the booking themselves. They don't want to give it up, right? But we're like, more information is better. Our party should look at us as being like this fun platform to find and curated cool stuff to book, right? Like, we're not going to hide the vendor from you and like try to mask it. So I think
I like that.
I think it's actually going to add better conversion rates over time because they'll get that it's like that transparent value.
And for you guys, like, because you've been around as long as you have and as many users as you have, I feel like the brand of just knowing, hey, I'm booking with Batch App probably means more than, hey, I'm booking with Joe's Crab Tours, you know, in the middle of nowhere. So I think like even just working with you to get kind of that brand recognition of, oh, wow, they're on the Batch App could be pretty useful for a lot of especially smaller operators.
Yeah. And from a technical side, like the fulfillment process, a lot of our best selling experiences are super old fashioned with their tech, right? So we can bring in like real tech, and we want to get into like more data and insights too. But I think you could benefit on both sides, adding credibility on the front end and on the back end, better infrastructure.
How do you look at building the brand side of things, especially going through kind of a rebrand? Like what things do you guys do to build your guys' brand from that perspective?
I wrote down all the potential names on a whiteboard, and I spent a weekend freaking out trying to figure out which one and why. And we did tons of surveys, tons of user interviews, talked to our team, had like voting for our team and our investors. But I think like one key piece of advice I keep coming back to on top of like revenue wins for like growing a business is like talk to users. Mm-hmm. You know, like just because I thought something was cool didn't mean that they thought it was cool, right? And I am like a 33-year-old bald guy, so like I'm not a bachelorette party. So I think that's the key in terms of you know, I think that's the key with going through brand evolutions is talk to users.
What was the runner-up? What was the runner-up brand name after Batch?
Fast.
Best?
Fast. F-E-S-T. So
Fest.
like a festival.
Ah, yeah.
Festivus, festival. I think it would have been a funny, like a really fun brand to build was Fest.
Like
but domain issues, infestation. Yeah.
Yeah. Let's go with that.
Was that, did you guys like, I would imagine someone else owned the domain before, right? Or did you guys just happen to find one that like no one owned?
Was there a squatter? Do you have to get past a squatter?
It's horrible. I hate the domain process as much as I hate companies. Yeah. I think our website is called letsbatch.com. It is not called Batch. There is a existing SaaS business called Batch.
I see. I'm here.
Our app is Batch, so that's great. That was a big win, and that was the website was $13 like for that domain. So it was either that or batch.co that was $100,000 or something, and I was like, I'm not doing that.
Yeah.
So, you know, it's funny because I still think that we need to get the word out about the transition more and more, especially to people who join the app, you know, and we're like, that's a pink Bachelorette app.
Yeah.
You know, so I think, so as I said, it's sort of still transitioning in that sense.
Yeah. So how do you like, now that you have the new brand, like how do you guys boost your brand presence in these different markets, or just in general, like how do you look at growing your actual brand name, your brand recognition?
Yeah. So the channels that we invest in are like the classic Google, TikTok, Instagram of the world, right? So yeah. I would just say we're doubling down on those channels. So we should have party guides on Google. So Google as a search engine is bizarre to me, that like you could pay to play, and like the way that they rank stuff. I think we just want to be a party expert. That's all we care about. Like, so across all of these channels, if it's through video or written content, we are going to be the party expert, telling you all the fun stuff to do for your type of party and wherever you want to go, right? So we could talk about brand activations, throwing parties, but I think the meaningful thing is, as long as we can just provide information to help you make decisions, that's what we really care about.
Yeah. And are you guys seeing like users posting about you guys on social media, or do they usually end up posting about the actual experience? Like, do you get a lot of like UGC, from people going out there and actually doing those experiences?
We definitely get a lot of UGC. We are launching an ambassador program on top of that, but I will say it's something that I want to invest in more. Is every single party this summer that goes on a trip should have a straight text line that they can text in photos and content from their party,
cool.
Because I think
that could get wild.
Things. Yeah. It's content for you guys, and it's going to lead into ratings and reviews. So we all get more information about how the experience was in like a live way.
Yeah, that's cool. So kind of like a shared album, just with you guys and with all of the users. That could get fun and interesting real fast.
It could be interesting.
And the experiences too. Like, I think that's the whole point of like, if we're adding value to, like tour scale, or like I think that there's value to get from getting a feed of content. From parties that we set.
That's such a good idea. We've talked a lot about that. Have you? What do you think the biggest opportunity is for you guys on the experience side of your application? Like, where's your biggest area for growth? Is it just getting more cities, or is there new features do you think you could add? Or like, what keeps you up? What gets you all jacked up when you think about it?
Not having social sign-in on our app, which will make
that's it.
My partner and team laugh at me. But no, I think the theme is providing more value and making it easy to find what you want with us, right? So I think it would be really cool if you could put a slush fund together where everybody chips in money to book stuff for their party, right? For example, I think like on the consumer side, I think it would be really cool to live in people's calendar, to like send them recommendations for all of the activities or holidays that they have coming up. Dad's birthday, like graduation party, or whatever it is. It would be really cool to integrate with calendar over time. But I think the point is, what gets me fired up is just like adding more value to parties and seeing like the original vision that we have for this thing, like view it as like a project that's not done yet, like layer in all this cool stuff to provide value to them. And that's like part of like what I feel is like making a project feel complete, and then on the vendor or experience partner side, it's like there's so much more that we could do. I mean, Kai could yell at me about this all day, but I think like I do want to have a platform that provides data and insights for people to like help grow their business. Like, what I personally really give a shit about is like empowering SMBs and growing small businesses to be great, and that's through like technology, through marketing, and through feeding back data and insights. Those are the ways that we can be helpful.
Love it.
Yeah, I want to circle back to something you brought up a lot, which is like a slush fund. I know that when you originally founded the app, one of your aspirations was to make it easy for customers to share like the cost of experiences. You see booking systems focusing on this, like split pay, stuff like that. So just for the operators out there, when someone books through the Batch, is it one person paying, or do you have a whole internal payment system set up in there?
It's one person.
Okay, because I know that when I've traveled and others have traveled, we've always thought like, man, there's got to be a better way. Like you're constantly going out to dinner, swiping cards, and the Venmos and the Cash Apps of the world have come up. But yeah, there's definitely some room on the customer experience there. And if anyone's going to do it, it sounds like you guys are going to figure it out. It's very cool.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying with project fulfillment stuff. You're like, we should be able to do that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, sweet. Well, we're coming up on time here. I think I had Justin. Do you have any more questions for Mike?
No, I feel like I peppered him with a bunch.
Yeah.
So man, this was cool. Like you have a lot of really good insights, and just live in a part of the world on the tech side of things that interests me, and growing your business as much as you have has definitely interested me, and it's inspiring to see how much you've done in the last, really 3-4 years since you got the app out and running, right? And so, no, congrats, Mike. It's been a fun conversation. Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you, Mike.
Inspiring story. I've always appreciated talking to you, and again, it's inspiring to me to see the traction you've got in this marketplace, and the way you're providing a platform for my franchisees, for other tour operators out there, a way to reach their customers. So, and I think you're one of the good ones. You're one of the good OTAs. You hear that, everybody?
There we
They're
go.
good one
There's
out.
not many
good ones
out there.
out there. Yeah. So everyone check it out.
Not many good ones.
Letsbatch.com. That's BATCH, or Batch app on your phone. BATCH. It's a great application. If you're not on there as a supplier, you should be, except if you're in the markets we're in. We don't want anyone else in those markets. There's enough of them. So don't do it.
So, and Mike, for the operators out there that want to be on the platform, do they go to your website to sign up? Do they reach out? What do they do?
Partner with us page on the website is the easiest way to get in touch. We look at it every day.
Awesome.
Oh yeah.
Cool. Well, thanks again, Mike.
That's a wrap.
Appreciate it.
I gotta work, grind. That's just the way it is. I gotta get up, scale, and grow my biz. I gotta scale, grow.